Hey kids, yo. So in a week, maybe 2 weeks now of bad faith questions, I'm going to take this one seriously. Please return in kind. I would tell you from my own experience of trying to unpack my own shit, my own white superiority complex, my heteronormativity, my ableism, all the things really stems from listening to people in those communities and listening to people with curiosity, not with questions that lead to judgment. And what I mean by that is someone from one of those marginalized communities may share their story. And what typically happens from people that are less oppressed than they are, the whites, is they ask questions but not about that person and their experience. They ask questions about their behavior and the circumstances around whatever story they're telling in order to justify what they already think in their head. So what I've had to do is a lot of listening and then more listening and learn to unpack those biases. So in the example that we're seeing play out over TikTok for the past few weeks, the second that person with 7 million followers insinuated that a trans person was luring children away from their parents to have isolated conversations with them, my red flags went up. Because I've listened to enough people in the LGBTQIA community to know that that is a narrative that is commonly and frequently, even politically, weaponized against them, especially towards trans people. Now, does that mean that I immediately dismiss? No. If there are credible accusations, there are credible accusations. So you can say when I first saw the video, an eyebrow went up. Then me, like many others, were like, well, do you have proof? Not because it's wrong to express an opinion or to make allegations where they are founded, but pushing that narrative is not just harmful to that person, but to the entire community that they're a part of. Then, as it came out that there was no actual evidence, that the evidence being presented was absolutely faked, then we have to start asking ourselves, where did these allegations come from? They are rooted in that harmful narrative and fear of trans people, which is completely wrong and baseless. In fact, it's funny because those fears are put on trans people, but really those fears are cis men pretending to be trans people in order to harm someone. And this is just one way that we white people, especially if we live cis and heteronormative, really need to check ourselves. And even if you're part of those communities, these biases can still creep up. And the way that happens is to accept that you and I can be wrong and that our perspective is limited by our own experience. That's nothing to be ashamed about. It's just facts. And so then we listen and self-reflect, listen and self-reflect, listen and self-reflect. And when we have an opinion, before we say it, maybe we run it through a screener and check to see if there's any of those biases hiding in there. Then when we do speak on it, like I try to do, I make sure it's from my perspective as a person in my place in society who is learning. And when someone from a different community tells me that I'm overstepping, I say I'm wrong and I listen and reflect some more. Grace and peace.